Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 6.
A man locked up accused of trying to abduct a young girl. I'm Stephanie Rodriguez live in Lake County. This morning we have the details on the charges he's now facing and how neighbors are reacting to his arrest.
And a man accused in a deadly mass shooting in Orlando with a new judge request. What he's now asking for just days before the start of his trial.
And a dense fog advisory remains in effect for most of our inland counties until 9 a.m. We are watching for some low visibility. We'll have more details on how much warmer things will get this week and a look at a cool change in the forecast coming up in a minute.
What was supposed to be a beautiful addition here to this wall turns into a costly mistake in downtown Apopka. I'm Mark Lehman with new fallout from a mural that ended up disappearing just days later.
And a string of local businesses are handed counterfeit cash, how workers flag the fakes, and who detectives say they are now looking for. Good Wednesday morning, friends. 6 o'clock on the dot. I hope you're waking up feeling good. I'm Lauren Melendez.
And I'm Stephen Montiero. Justin has the day off, and we want to start this hour with our chief meteorologist, Candace Campos. And that forecast, listen, I'm liking this 7-day, but we've got to deal with some things this morning.
Yeah, 80s for those who like it warm and 60s for those who like it cool for January. It seems pretty typical for us here in Central Florida. Right now, though, this is also pretty typical for this time of the year. We have a big ridge of high pressure under control. That's just keeping things very stagnant. Not a lot of breeze. Not a lot of mixing in the air. So that is why we are seeing some early morning patchy fog once again. You can see visibility at this point. The worst of it in Ocala, Leesburg, areas of Orlando, and Kissimmee at this point. We do have a dense fog advisory for all of our inland counties until 9 a.m. Other than that, as you're heading out the door, certainly light jacket worthy kind of morning, upper 50s to low 60s. Light jackets, though, will be shoved in their backpack if you're lucky. Or if not, they're just going to lose it. 82 will be our high for those kids heading to that bus stop. We are looking at slightly warmer temperatures for today. We are looking at temperatures climbing even further. We're talking even nearing record-breaking temperatures, especially come Friday and Saturday, all ahead of our next cold front. We'll have more details, though, on those changes and a look at some of those records coming up in minutes. Now let's see how those roadways are doing with a mix of fog and, of course, normal drivers. Here's to proceed.
Absolutely. That fog is there this morning. And 417 southbound is seeing some slight delays now because of that fog. So please be careful as you're traveling out there. 40-mile marker puts you right there at Redbug Lake Road. Please don't be like that car in the left lane. If you see blue lights that are blocking a travel lane, it's probably a good indicator that you can't use that lane. So please move over and slow down. The rest of us not bad, but that fog, even down here in Kissimmee, Champions Gate area, Candace really showing us where this stuff is this morning, and I'm just trying to keep up. So Champions Gate, east and westbound, we're not bad, but if you're waking up this morning, getting ready to leave the house, just be prepared for that.
All right, 6:02 here. Get a look over my shoulder. This SUV is at the center of a major investigation just a day after Eustis police released this image to an attempted kidnapping suspect's SUV, and now an arrest has been made. Gregory Lockwood is waking up in the Lake County Jail this morning. We know his alleged victim is a minor. So let's get right out to News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez. Following the new developments, what are neighbors saying after all of this, Stephanie?
Lauren, people who live there in the area where this happened are thankful that the 55-year-old was arrested. He is, like you said, waking up this morning here at the Lake County Jail, and in just a few hours, he should be facing a judge. Meantime, the chief of police over in Eustis says when it comes to things like this, they have zero tolerance. We'll have more from him coming up at the bottom of the hour. Reporting live in Lake County, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Happening today, the man arrested after the discovery of nearly 100,000 pounds of deadly opioid is expected to back in federal court for their hearing. 26-year-old Maxwell Horvath ran a business in Palm Bay and had been under surveillance for weeks before his arrest last month. So agents say they also found 5 explosive devices on Horvath's property, grenade simulators, chemicals to make explosives, and an arsenal of weapons. As of right now, though, his trial is expected to begin February 2nd. So a counterfeit scheme is hitting small businesses across Seminole County, and it's costing small business owners some real cash.
The investigators say the same suspects may be targeting multiple shops. We're talking the same areas, too, sometimes even on the same day. So now investigators are asking for your help finding the people responsible. Get a good look at this surveillance video of the suspected thieves. The videos show a man walking into Cava Culture. This is Lake Mary, December 16th. He orders a drink. He pays with a 50 and he leaves with real change. Well, minutes later, a woman follows, orders the same drink, pays with another 50 and did the same thing.
How much money are we talking about?
So they each used a 50, so they got us for about $100.
And over time, that adds up. When the manager posted about the counterfeit bills on Facebook, another business on Lake Mary Boulevard responded. They had the same story. So side-by-side security photos from both of these shops appear to show the same suspects on the same day. Deputies say they are investigating, but they're also urging business owners, make sure you double-check those large bills, especially if something doesn't look right.
In Flagler County, work to demolish the historic Flagler Beach Pier kicks into high gear this week. So here's a look at the work getting underway ahead of the demolition. The pier is nearly 100 years old, but it suffered major damage during recent storms, including Hurricane Ian back in 2022. So the plan is to replace it with a new, stronger structure that will include wider decks and access for the disabled. Construction is expected to take 18 to 24 months to finish up. So it was supposed to be a beautiful new addition to downtown Apopka. Instead, one mural ended up turning into a months-long mess. So the problem is it looked too much like another artist's work, and it ended up having to be painted over.
So now in just hours, the city is set to talk about the future of the nonprofit behind this entire project. News 6's Mark Lehman following the story for us live. Mark, this ended up being a very costly mistake.
Yeah, the city is looking to be reimbursed about $5,000 from Main Street Apopka, and that amount includes the cost to paint the mural here and also literally just whitewashing this wall days later. As commissioners are seeking to get that money back, they're also deciding if they want to continue their partnership with the nonprofit. Main Street Apopka has suggested a forfeiture of around $4,600 from its next disbursement from the city, but that would only be on the table if Apopka decides to continue its contract with the nonprofit. Now, all this will be discussed during today's council meeting that's set for 1:30 this afternoon. For now, reporting live in Apopka, Mark Lehman, News 6.
Thanks, Mark. Time now, 6:11. The son of Hollywood legend preparing for court after being charged with murdering his parents.
Coming up, what's expected to happen in just hours. Plus, the quick takedown of a suspected thief. All new this morning, the body camera footage you've got to see as one man tried to get away on a bike.
Plus, the famous Mecum Auto Auction is back in Central Florida. We'll show you one of the most talked about cars at the event this year. Candace.
And temperatures nationwide on the warming trend as we will continue to see even near record-breaking temperatures by the end of the week. But there's a big cool down in store. We'll have more details on the timing coming up in minutes.
And there's obviously fog out there and some crashes coming up. I'll show you. But first, here's your drive times.
As a state trooper patrolling these roads, I know why traffic is bad, and I know how to make your commute smoother. Let me get you through traffic on News 6 Mornings.
Well, the man accused of killing his parents, Hollywood icon Rob Reiner, and his wife, he is due back in court today. Nick Reiner is set to be arraigned in Los Angeles. Now, the 32-year-old has been held without bail since his arrest 3.5 weeks ago. The couple was found stabbed to death inside their Brentwood home last month. Prosecutors charging Reiner with 2 counts of first-degree murder, along with a special circumstance that could lead to a much harsher sentence. Now, Reiner's attorney says this case, it is very complex, and he now urges the public not to rush to judgment as the court now begins deciding whether the evidence is strong enough for this case to move toward trial.
New this morning, a shoplifting suspect is now behind bars in Volusia County after police say he tried to flee on a bicycle before being taken down by law enforcement.
Please stop! Please stop! Hey, stop! No, please stop! I got one running. Stop! Stop or you're gonna get tackled. Why? Oh my God! I didn't do nothing. Stop.
Port Orange police say 50-year-old Clarence Colmar of New Smyrna Beach hit multiple retail stores on December 30th. Officers say they found him trying to ride away when he refused to stop after being told to repeatedly. An officer caught up and tackled him off that bicycle. Investigators say stolen items were found in his pants and his backpack. Colmar faces multiple charges, including 2 counts of felony theft. He remains in jail on a $4,500 bond. All right, so take a look at this car right here. here. This Ferrari was formerly owned by President Trump and is now up for auction in Kissimmee.
All right, it is just one of many cars, thousands in fact, included in the Mecum Auto Auction. So the Mecum Auto Auction kicked off Tuesday in Kissimmee. It is expected at this year's auction that celebrity-owned and one-of-a-kind vehicles will be available. One of the most highlighted cars during this year's auction is the Ferrari. Take a look.
We'll have cars ranging from $5,000 today to cars that at some point in time later in the auction may go for over $50 million. I think there's 3 stars in this auction. One is Bianco Speciale, the 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO. The holy grail of Ferraris, if not the holy grail of collector cars, is the 250 GTO. 250 GTO that sold in 2023 at auction for over $50 million.
Now, the thing is, if I saw that going down the street, I'd be like, oh, cool car, not understanding the history of that. So if you do plan to go this year, there are more than 4,500 cars to look at. The auction is being held at Osceola's Heritage Park. It runs through the 18th.
So you can also, that last shot right there, you can actually go down there and do test drives.
Yeah.
They have like a, I don't know what it's called, I'm going to butcher it, but there's like a fast course that you can go through with all the Hemis and all. It's a good time. It's a good time.
It's one of those days. It's one of those events where it'd be like, I send my husband, I'm like, you take the day. Like, because I think I would slow him down.
Well, and then Boxy Park's right there. Lake Nona's not too far.
That's true.
What would you do if you came home with one of those?
Yeah. I'm more worried about a motorcycle than a car, to be honest. Let's talk about the weather forecast. We got 2 already.
He's watching right now going, I think I just got permission from Lauren.
No, he did not. Looking at the weather forecast for the next couple of days this week, it's going to be quite a warm-up. So if you are planning on taking a nice drive on the bike, or not drive, ride on the bike, or a nice drive and maybe the top down or whatnot, the weather is actually going to be really, really nice. Not too hot, not too cold. Temperatures are going to be back into the upper 70s to low 80s. And we're tracking the arrival of a new cold front. This one comes through possibly late Sunday afternoon. So I think Sunday should be on the warmer side, but more of that cooler air will settle in just in time for all of us heading back to work and school Monday morning. Now, visibility at this point in time still limited in some spots. Right now, the coastline, for the most part, is kind of the clear spot. But right now, Ocala, the Villages through Leesburg, stretching into areas of Orlando and Kissimmee right now, seeing visibility less than about a quarter of a mile. And because of that concern, the National Weather Service has issued a dense fog advisory for the 3rd day in a row, as visibility could get down to less than about a quarter of a mile. We're seeing that already for most of our inland counties. But now let's check on that hour-by-hour forecast for today.
Your forecast is sponsored by Strata Services.
Our highs today back into those low 80s. Again, tons of sunshine in the forecast. Problem is we need a little bit of rain here, folks. We're not really expecting much in the way of rain in the next 7 days or so. Maybe the possibility as we head into the end of next week. But of course, that's something we're going to be watching pretty closely. In the meantime, though, it's a big ridge of high pressures in control, keeping things nice and quiet, pretty stagnant, which is why we could have another round of some early morning fog for your Thursday morning. So let's show you here your Orlando forecast for tonight, down to 73 degrees by 8 p.m. Into about 10 o'clock, we'll be at 64. Again, that light breeze in play. So do expect almost a rinse and repeat weather forecast. How we're waking up this morning to be the same case again tomorrow. But looking at the clouds and rain futurecast, I'm really hoping that we could see a little bit of green here. We do need the rain. Our drought conditions are going to continue to worsen. We will get the new update tomorrow. Every Thursday, the drought monitor does get updated. But with a big ridge of high pressure in control and only just a weak front expected to dig into central Florida, there's not a whole lot of rain to contend with. What we will be contending with is the possibility of near record highs. A high of 83 in Orlando on Friday could get pretty close to records there of 84. Leesburg could also get pretty close as well. So with all this warm weather in store, if you have the opportunity to enjoy the beach, the forecast looking nice, although do beware that we do have that high risk of rip currents before temperatures start cooling down into next week. But overall, the weekend, though, looking dry and looking warm. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve.
All right, we are watching this crash still this morning. Southbound 417 delays are building because you guys are waking up. So just understand, southbound lane's a little slow in Seminole County at the 40-mile marker. This is just south of Red Bug Lake Road. It's barely registering on my map right now, but it's in the construction spot. So you need to be extra careful when you're headed south this morning. Outside of that fog lingering out by Champions Gate, headlights on even when the sun comes up. It's not for you to see, it's for you to be seen. Poinciana, not too bad. Poinciana Parkway starting to see some of those delays. That rural area is what we're concerned with the fog. So if you're getting ready to leave Poinciana, just understand you'll have some company with weather.
Let's get to a programming note now. Drew is on the move to make way for something new. So starting on Monday, the Drew Barrymore Show, it'll be moving to 9 a.m. And then at 3, a new show live from Orlando. And all of it is Monday here on News 6.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Orlando Health. Watch Jana Manohalal, your News 6 East Orange County community correspondent.
No matter what's happening where you live, trust Sky 6 to get the bigger picture. Exclusively sponsored by attorney Dan Newman.
Well, new this morning, the Mega Millions winner from November's drawing is claiming their prize. Someone in Georgia claimed a jackpot worth nearly $1 billion. The winner is staying anonymous. Can you blame him? Took the cash option for just over $453 million before taxes. Smart person. Officials with the Georgia Lottery say this is the largest prize in state history. We will find you.
My goodness. A warning before you drive on I-95. Don't speed.
Coming up, why one sheriff says he is fed up after the holiday season and the new initiative now underway. Stephanie?
A man accused of trying to abduct a minor is now behind bars. I'm Stephanie Rodriguez. We're live in Lake County with more on the charges he's facing this morning.
Plus, concerns now heightened about the state's possible shortage of drinking water. Up next, a look at how one local business is working to conserve our water supply before it's too late. Candace?
And right now, speaking of the waters, here's Lake Dora, Mount Dora Sky Cam. We are dealing with a lot of fog still out there. Current temperatures right now nearing 60 degrees. We'll have more details on the quick warm up before a new cold front comes through for your weekend coming up in minutes.
And slowdowns in 417 are there now for this crash. Southbound in Seminole County coming up. We'll take a closer look and check out fog in other places.
Watch Catherine Silver, your News 6 Seminole County community correspondent. Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6.
Time now, 6:30 on your Wednesday.
All right, let's get a check of our top stories this morning, starting with the man who was set to face a judge in Lake County this morning, accused of trying to abduct a minor in Eustis. Police say 55-year-old Gregory Lockwood approached that girl in his SUV. He offered her cash to go with him, but she was able to run away.
A man accused of a Halloween night mass shooting in downtown Orlando that left 2 people dead is now asking a judge for another mental health evaluation. Jury selection at Jalen Edgar's trial is currently set to start next week.
And leaders in Apopka are set to talk about the latest fallout from a botched mural project downtown. A group that gets taxpayer money. Well, they paid thousands for this project, but it ended up having to be painted over because of a plagiarism accusation.
Turning now to the weather, parts of Central Florida once again under some dense fog advisories this morning. It's kind of hit or miss here and there as our temperatures again begin to climb up a little bit.
This almost looks like we're dreaming. I mean, but this fog is just become a nuisance at this point. You know, you're going to head out. Yeah, well, I'm dreaming of some sun. So when can we expect to see that, Candace?
After about 9, 10 o'clock, the skies will clear out and we'll see nothing but sunshine throughout the afternoon. But right now, again, we are still kind of stuck with some of that fog. Not so much for you guys along the coastline. You guys have seen back-to-back days of pretty rough conditions. For this time, it's very much further kind of shifted inland. So right now, we're talking between 75 and the I-4 corridor. You saw there our not a large credit union camera, our Light Orlando camera there. You can see visibility is down to less than about a quarter of a mile or so. Same story there in Kissimmee. So other than the fog right now, we are dealing with some mild temperatures. Almost area-wide, we're already into the 60s. We're at 61 in Sanford, 62 in the Villages, 64 degrees there in Ocala. So yeah, maybe a light jacket, but if you're planning on being out and about at all today, you will not need the layers. Look at our highs back into about 81 to about 82 degrees, but we could crank up the heat a little further, especially come Friday and Saturday. Could even be flirting with records. We'll have more details on that before our next cool down is in store coming up. Now let's check on those roadways with Super Steve.
I love when you say just turn it up just a little bit. Because when that happens, I go, oh, there it is. Southbound 417, we're slow now. I'm going to call it slow because this crash is going to end up impeding your morning commute. commute. So 40-mile marker south of Red Bug Lake Road, Seminole County, in the construction zone. So I threw the speeds on there. You can see you're going to drop down pretty dramatically within that slowdown, 20, 30 miles an hour, and then we'll pick back up. Just please pay attention. Outside of that, the delays are starting to settle in about I-4 535 mixed with some fog. Just be careful. Also this morning, this man right here behind me is waking up in a Lake County jail accused of trying to abduct a juvenile out in Eustis.
So now, as he gets ready to face the judge, we're hearing from people living nearby about this scary encounter. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez following this story for us live. Steph, for now, he's likely to stay behind bars.
Yes, that's right. He is facing a couple charges, including attempted abduction and battery on a minor. Now, Lockwood is expected to make his first court appearance sometime today. Once we know more about that, we'll update you here on air and over at clickorlando.com. Reporting live in Lake County, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Thank you, Stephanie. So a Disney Springs restaurant is facing a lawsuit after the death at a diner. So the man's family is saying workers didn't act fast enough to call 911. The lawsuit says Kevin Duncan was eating at the boathouse last June when he began choking on a piece of steak. Allegedly, family members tried to help, but the suit claims staff delayed calling for help and contacted security first. Duncan was rushed to the hospital and placed on a ventilator and died the next day. Lawyers say the restaurant failed to train employees to handle choking emergencies and lacked proper emergency response policies, which is important. We reached out to the third-party company that runs the restaurant. So far, we haven't heard anything back.
Well, 6:35 here in Orange County. We are now hearing from the coach who knew a teen football player killed in a shooting just days after Christmas. 16-year-old Lorraylin Harrison was shot on 26th Street. Coach Boris Jackson, who also knew him as a family friend, remembers Harrison as a dedicated athlete. He says he had spoken with him just a day before he was killed, making this loss even more devastating.
Just a very peaceful kid. He was a workaholic. He just wanted to play football. He wanted to do well.
Well, Harrison was one of at least 3 teens killed over the holiday break. We told you yesterday that grief counselors were on campus at Robbinswood Middle School. That is for students who knew young Emily Jackson, the 8th grader who was shot and killed on Christmas. A 15-year-old has been charged with manslaughter in her death.
Good stuff there. Time now 6:40. Central Florida is using more water and fast.
Well, now there's a new warning coming up with a solution that won't be cheap. So still ahead, we'll tell you how a local business is cutting back and what it can mean for the rest of us.
First, though, 1 year ago today, deadly wildfires in California changed lives forever. The new admissions about what went wrong and where the case against the suspect stands. Candace.
As the kids are heading to that bus stop this morning on their Wednesday, temperatures out the door right now, upper 50s, low 60s. We are still dealing with some pretty dense fog. Will worsen over the next 45 minutes to an hour before things really start to warm up this afternoon. We'll have more on that coming up in minutes.
And still tracking some delays along 417 southbound in Seminole County for a crash and some fog out by the attractions. When we come back, we'll take a nice drive around town.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Advent Health. Watch Mark Lehman, your News 6 Seminole County community correspondent.
1 year ago today, a deadly wall of fire tore through Los Angeles County. It left dozens dead and thousands of lives shattered. You're looking at this aftermath there. The Palisades and Eaton fires ignited January 7th. It burned more than 37,000 acres and it killed at least 31 people. Now today, you can see the wildfire burn scar that is left behind. Homes, schools, businesses, all destroyed, and many families remain displaced from their homes to this day. The newly appointed Los Angeles fire chief acknowledged failures and promises the investigation into the fires are not over.
There were clearly significant shortcomings in our response as a department. And as the newly appointed fire chief, the responsibility for how this department prepares, deploys, and adapts for the future rests with me.
Well, this week, communities are marking the anniversary with visuals, memorials, and events to support the rebuilding. Meanwhile, the man accused of starting the fire that sparked the Palisades blaze remains in federal prison without bail. 29-year-old Jonathan Rendenkent was arrested in Central Florida last fall. He faces multiple federal arson charges, and if convicted, he could spend up to 45 years in prison.
So do we have enough drinking water here in Florida? Odd question, right? But that's the question asked every 5 years by the state's water management districts.
Well, you got my attention now.
Yeah, right?
The latest report says we will need to embrace conservation and alternative water supplies to make up for a projected shortfall. But as photojournalist Paul Giorgio shows us, both options, they come with a hefty price tag.
New this morning, Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence is going viral, and it's not for a touchdown, but for what happened after Sunday's blowout win over the Titans. So Lawrence hit a bar with some of the teammates, and that's where he met disabled veteran Natasha Lane. And instead of asking for a photo, she just said, "Hey, can I squat you?"
His reaction was very shocked. He looked at me and asked if I was being serious, and I said, I very much am.
So get this, she did 5 squats with Lawrence on her shoulders. I would need an ambulance after that. And it's said to be another big weekend. The Jaguars face the Buffalo Bills Sunday in the wild card round of the NFL playoffs. That game right here in WKMG. Look at that form.
Right.
He looks a little nervous, too.
I was going to say, I want to see his face to see how nervous he really was about that.
Is she going to really do this?
Yeah.
She's a vet.
You could do it.
Yeah.
Like you said, it might be the last squat you ever do. But
my back
the squat
right
might go down but never come back up, right? Let's talk about the weather forecast. What's going to go up is our temperatures over the next couple of days. I do feel like we're doing a little squatting when it comes to temperatures. Going down, though, later on this early next week as temperatures will be dropping down to the 60s for daytime highs. Let's look visibility at this point in time. It is rough right now across our western counties. Lake Mary and Sumter County seeing the worst of it, but some of that fog is now starting to kind of filter in more into parts of Osceola and Orange, even far western areas of Seminole County as well. You can see visibility around the airport there in Orlando, less than about a quarter of a mile, and that's certainly the case in areas of the Villages, Leesburg, down through Polk County as well. But now let's check on that hour-by-hour forecast for today. Again, we're dealing with that early morning fog. We have a dense fog advisory for all of our inland counties until 9 a.m. with our highs later on today under all that sunshine back into those low 80s. Then later on tonight, notice those temperatures will be cooling back down, upper 50s to low 60s, so another mild, light jacket worthy kind of night, but once again looking at the early morning potential for some fog. As we look ahead in the forecast, though, we're talking about near record highs as we head into Friday and Saturday leading up to the arrival of that cold front. As of right now, the timing looks like we could see that cold front knocking on our doorstep come Sunday afternoon, but once it clears by Monday and into Tuesday, temperatures look to fall back below normal. Highs will go into those upper 60s to low 70s. So let me show you the comparison. This is Friday, where it could be kind of the warmest day of the week. We're talking low 80s, pretty much area-wide. Orlando, a high of 83, could be breaking some records as well. Sanford, Orlando, Leesburg looks to be the possibility for some records. Then after that cold front, let's say Monday, which will be the coolest day, temperatures will be staying in the 60s. So we'll go from 80s on Friday, 60s, though, on Sunday. Now, speaking of Sunday and into the weekend, though, we've got the Disney Marathon weekend. It is a jam-packed weekend there at the parks. Thursday's 5K temperatures around 5 a.m. will be in the upper 50s. But overall, pretty consistent all throughout the weekend. So those folks who are either running maybe the half marathon or the full marathon on Sunday, the weather should cooperate. It won't be extremely humid or extremely cold overall. For Florida standards, the weather is looking pretty good. All right, now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve.
All right, traffic just blew up all over the place, so just get ready here. Southbound 417 at the 40, secondary crash here causing another slowdown, so I need you to be very careful. This is at Redbug Lake Road in Seminole County. Your speeds are reduced dramatically, and then get ready for a shutdown. Southbound 417 at the 1 is now shut down. This is in Celebration at the toll plaza. Everyone comes off at Celebration Boulevard. As the morning continues, I will keep you updated on this. An attempted abduction in Eustis ends with a suspect behind bars. Why neighbors say this close call has shaken the whole community.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Armor View Window and Door.
Well, we've got another hour of news ahead on News 6 Plus. That'll be at 7. So let's get a preview starting with Stephanie Rodriguez live in Lake County.
A man accused of trying to abduct a minor will face a judge here this morning in Lake County. 55-year-old Gregory Lockwood was booked yesterday. Police in Eustis say over the weekend he approached a girl in his SUV near East Pinehurst Boulevard and South Grove Street, and then offered her money to get inside of his car and go with him. When she refused, that's when Lockwood got upset, according to police. He's now charged with attempted abduction and battery on a minor, and for now he is being held without bond. Steve?
The man accused of killing 2 people in a mass shooting in downtown Orlando is now asking for a new mental health evaluation. Jalen Edgar is supposed to stand trial next week, but told the judge in a handwritten letter he still questions his competence at the time of the violence.
Well, President Trump is planning to meet with senators today following the capture of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. Yesterday, Trump announced the South American country, it will turn over 30 to 50 million barrels of oil to the U.S. Mark.
And leaders in Apopka are set to talk today about the latest fallout over a botched mural project. The group Main Street Apopka paid thousands of dollars for an artist to paint the mural last year, but it ended up having to be painted over after another artist claimed the design was plagiarized. This whole thing led to a big shakeup for the Main Street Apopka group. The question now is what happens to future taxpayer funding? Today's meeting is set for 1:30. Steve?
You can watch News 6 mornings at 7 live on News 6 Plus. Click Orlando.com and my favorite, the YouTube channel. It's easy. And head to CBS Mornings. New worries about the flu as doctors visit reach their highest levels in nearly 30 years. We've all got the sniffles. What the experts are saying you should do to try to avoid getting sick. Candace.
This flu can certainly knock you out. All right, let's talk about those temperatures out the door right now. We are in the 60s, dealing with some early morning patchy fog. Some pretty dense spots, though, across areas of Lake Mary and Sumter County. Visibility less than about a quarter of a mile, even stretching into Orlando and Osceola. Looking at our afternoon forecast, highs back into the 80s, just a touch warmer than yesterday. We're going to continue to warm up through Friday and Saturday. Could get close to nearing record-breaking temperatures both days.
Right now, we're seeing some major issues on State Road 417, and the visibility is barely there. This is the 1-mile marker in the midst of the community of Celebration. All southbound lanes are currently shut down. Everyone comes off at Celebration Avenue. Keep with us this morning, and we'll keep you updated. Thank you for joining us. Remember, break news, click Orlando.com.
And you can find all our top stories on our News 6 Plus app for your TV.
Join us on News 6 Plus, coming up next.
Watch Stephanie Rodriguez, your News 6 Osceola County community correspondent.
It's Central Florida. The weather changes every day. How should you dress the kids? Should you bring the umbrella?
And we know traffic changes constantly. How can we get you to work on time? Avoid a crash, make your mornings easier for you.
You grab the coffee. We'll take care of the weather and traffic.